This is not a complete coding manual. This is a drive-through introduction to just enough coding concepts and keywords to get you from zero to a basic script.
Hello and welcome to the fundamentals of HTML5. This course is designed to teach you how to build a website using HTML5 from the ground up. We will be building a complete HTML5 website as we work through each lesson. So, at the end of this course, you will know exactly how everything works and what you need to get a complete website built. I am Rada Sah and my friend Mohammed Dadzi, who will be leading you through the series of lessons. I have been built 9 websites, so I have a lot of experience to share with you and help you to build your own site quickly and correctly. The course will take you step by step through using the newest standards of HTML5, so you don't need to know anything about website building to get started. To follow along with us and build your own site, the only tools you need is standard text processing application and web browser. For the browser, you can use any web browser application you like. To make things easier to start out, I recommend a modern version of WebKit browser like Chrome, Opera. You can also use Firefox. For the lesson, I will be using Opera browser. And of course, I will be using Notepad++, a free program for Windows which you can download. It has a few nice features like built-in color. It is also lets you manage multiple open documents and tabs, so you can easily work on several files at once, which we do a lot in website development. If you are using Windows, I would like to use Notepad++ as well. I have included a link in the description bar so you can download it and install it. Now, once you have picked out and install your browser and text editing application, you are ready for the next lesson where we start building. But first things first, I will leave you with my friend Mohammed Dadzi to explain to you what is an HTML and what's the difference between HTML and HTML5.
So what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Browsers don't display the HTML tags but use it to render the content of the page. Hypertext is a special method by which we can move around on the web by clicking on hyperlinks that open the next page. Markup is HTML tags such as opening and closing tags with text inside them by which we can format the text, put hyperlinks, images, etc. HTML acts as a basic building blocks for World Wide Web. HTML was created by Tim Berners-Lee in 1991, who is also the founder of the World Wide Web. So going on now to HTML5. HTML5 released in the year 2014. HTML is kept on updating itself with more features to make the internet more accessible for everyone. HTML5 is different from HTML as all its features are supported across all browsers. HTML5 is recommended by W3C from 2012 onwards. It includes processing models, detailed parsing rules, error handling, Canva for drawing, and support for local storage. HTML5 starts supporting JavaScript API such as geolocation API for identifying location, cross-platform mobile application support. HTML5 defines a single markup language, can be written in either HTML or XHTML language syntax and supports backward compatibility to previous HTML versions. Now, look forward to the difference between HTML and HTML5. In HTML, video and audio are not supported, whereas in HTML5, video and audio are integrated into it. HTML is compatible with almost all the browsers, whereas HTML5 is supported by most of the modern browsers such as Firefox, Mozilla, and Chrome, etc. In HTML, JavaScript and browser interface will run in the same thread, whereas in HTML5 we can run JavaScript in the background with the help of the web worker API can run in the different threads. In HTML, vector graphics is supported with the help of other tools such as Silverlight, Flash, etc. Whereas in HTML5, vector graphics is supported by default. It has Canva and SVG inbuilt. In HTML5, applet tag was removed, which is used for displaying applets, and object tag was introduced, whereas in HTML, applet tag is being used. In HTML, e tag was used as an anchor as well as for referring to a link, whereas in HTML5, e tag is used as an hyperlink only. only. In HTML, acronym chag was used for displaying abbreviation, whereas in HTML5 this chag is replaced by the EBBR chag, which will be used for the same purpose. HTML unable to handle inaccurate syntax and other errors, whereas HTML5 is capable of handling errors. In HTML5, table chag can have only one attribute, border, and value need to be 0 or 1, whereas in HTML we can have many attributes. In HTML, communication between client and server will happen using streaming and long polling, as it doesn't have support for sockets, whereas HTML5 has support for WebSockets, through which full duplex communication is possible between client and server.
Hello, this is me again. Let's get started with creating your first HTML page. First, open up your computer's plain text editor and create a new file. Then, type the following code. You may think what the code was all about. Well, let's find out. The doc type HTML. Declaration defines this document to be an HTML5. The HTML element is the root element of an HTML page. The head element contains meta information about the document. The title element specifies a title for the document. The body element contains the visible page content, like h1 element that defines a large heading, and the pay element defines a paragraph. Now, save the file on your desktop as myfirstpage.html. An HTML element is an individual component of an HTML document. It represents semantics or meaning. For example, the title element represents the title of the document. Most HTML elements are written with start tags and ending tags, with content in between. Elements can also contain attribution that defines its additional properties. Now, let's talk about empty elements. Empty elements are not container tags. That means they don't have a self-closing element. A typical example of an empty element is the BR element, which represents line break. Some other common empty elements are AMG, input, link, meta, HR, etc. You will learn about all of these elements in details in upcoming lessons. HTML offers 6 levels of heading tags, H1 through H6. The higher the heading level number, the greater its importance. Therefore, H1 tags defines the most important heading, whereas the H6 tags define the last important heading in the document. By default, browsers display heading in larger and bolder fonts than normal text. Also, H1 heading are displayed in the largest fonts, whereas H6 heading are displayed in smallest font. Paragraphs are defined with the B tag. Paragraph tag is very basic and typically the first tag you will need to publish your text on the web pages. For example, let's try this code. Now, let's try the BR tags. The BR tag is used to insert a line break on the web page. Since the BR is an empty element, so there is no need to correspond in the BR tag. HTML provides several tags that you can use to make some text on your web page to appear differently than normal text. For example, you can use the tag B to make the text bold, and you can use E to make the text italic, and you can either use the mark to highlight the text. Now, let's try this out to understand how this tags basically works. Strong and B tags render in the close tags in the bold typeface by default, but the strong tag indicate that its content have strong importance, whereas the B tag is simply used to draw the reader's attention without conveying any special importance. Similarly, both EM and E tags render the enclosed tags in italic type by default, but the EM tag indicate that its content have stressed emphasis compared to surrounded text, whereas the E tag is used for making up the text that is set off from the normal text for readability reasons, whereas the E tag is used for making up the text is set off from the normal text for readability reasons, such as technical term and idiotic phrase from another language, etc. A link or hyperlink is connection from one page resource to another. Links allow users to move seamlessly from one page to another on any server anywhere in the world. A link has two ends called anchors. The link starts at the source anchor at the point to the destination anchor, which may be the web resource. For example, an image or an audio or a video or an element within the document itself. By default, links will appear as follow in the most of the browsers. An unvisited link is underlined and blue. A visited link is underlined and purple. An active link is underlined and red. Links are specified in HTML using the A tag. A link hyperlink could be a word, group of words, or an image. Anything between the opening A and the closing A becomes the part of the link that the user says and clicks in the browser. Let's try some example for the links. An absolute URL is the URL that includes every part of the URL format, such as protocol, hostname, and path for the document. In our example, we have www.wordpress.com. Relative URLs are page relative paths like index.html, simile.png, and so on. A relative URL never includes the HTTP and HTTPS prefix. You can also create file download links in exactly the same fashion as lay syntax links. Just point destination URL to the file you want to be available for download. Image. Enhance visual appearance of the web pages by making them more interesting and colorful. The image tag is used to insert images in the HTML document. It is an empty element and contain attributes only. Let's try to insert an images on the web page. Let's take a look to our images. As you can see, we have two attributes. The C are the source attribute and the alt attribute. The source attribute tells the browser that where to find the image. Its value is the URL of the image file, whereas the alt attribute provides an alternative text for the image. If you unavailable or if it is unavailable or cannot be displayed for some reasons, its value should be meaningful substitute for the image. Here is a good practice and specify both the width and the height attributes for an image so that browser can allocate that much of space for the image before it downloaded. Otherwise, image loading may cause distortion or flicker in your website layout. HTML table allows you to arrange data into rows and columns. They are commonly used to display tabular data like product listing, customers details, financial reports, and so on. You can create a table using the table element. Inside the table elements, you can use the tr elements to create rows, and to create columns inside the row you can use td elements. You can also define the cell as a header for a group of table cells using the th element. Tables don't have any borders by default. You can use the css border properties to add borders to the tables. Also, table cells are sized just large enough to fit the content by default. To add more space around the content in the table cells, you can use the css padding property. HTML lists. A list represents list information in a well-formed and semantic way. There are three different types of a list in HTML, and each one has specific purpose and meaning. An order list is to create a list of related items in no particular order. Order list is to create a list of related items in specific order. Description list is to create a list of terms and their description. What is an HTML form? HTML forms are required to collect different kinds of user inputs, such as contact details like name, email address, phone numbers, or details like credit card information. Forms contain special elements called control like input box, checkbox, radio buttons, submit buttons, etc. Users generally complete a form by modifying its controls, entering text, selecting item, and submitting this form to a web server for further processing. The form tag is used to create an HTML form. Input elements always use specify various types of user input files dependent on type attribute. An input element can be of type text file, password file, checkbox, radio button, submit button, reset button, file select box, as well as several new input types and introduced in HTML5. Let's start with text field. Text fields are one-line area that allow the user to input text. Single-line text input control are created using an input element whose type attribute has a value of text. Here is an example of single-line text input used to take username. Password fields are similar to text file. The only difference is character in the password file are miscast. They are shown as dots. This is to prevent someone else from reading the password on the screen. This is also a signal line text input controls created using an input element whose type attribution has a value of a password. Here is an example of single line password input using the check user password. Checkboxes allow the user to select one or more options from a predefined set of options. It is created using an input element whose type attribute has a value of checkbox. Here is an example of checkbox that you can be used to collect information about users' hobbies. A select box is a drop-down list of options that allow users to select one or more options from a pull-down list of options. Select box is created using the select element and option element. The option elements within the select elements define each list item.
We hope you enjoy this video as much as we enjoy offering it to you. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact us. This video by students of Genie Bioindustrial. Request by Mr. Zaman.